Summer Band. It begins less than a week after school lets out in June. For 8 hours a day, the band lives at Prospect. They work on a number of different things to prepare for the upcoming year's show, learning music, learning how to march, and learning how to play together out on the field.
We do 2 weeks leading up to the 4th of July of band camp, and those are usually 8-hour days.
It's every day, Monday through Friday.
It's 1 to 5 p.m. and then you get an hour for dinner, and then you have to get back here as fast as you can and go for another 3 hours, hopefully on the stamina that you have left.
And then on Saturdays, normally it's 9 to 5. So as you can imagine, it pretty much takes up a lot of the summer.
And then we get July off.
We also do another 2 weeks leading up to school. Now that sounds like a lot of hours, but with the amount of preparation we have to do what we do, we definitely need every moment of it.
It's basically hell.
Now during the summers, we tend to make sure that we get certain things done during all of those hours. The main thing is really teaching good, solid technique, how kids perform the instruments. It's a huge part, because if we can knock that out early on during the summers, during all those hours, we can get some real consistency. The rest of the season really does go a lot easier.
Yeah, we usually get here.
Well, most of us get here at 1.
Bernesa gets here at 1:15.
Spending about 10 minutes lubing up, getting each other with the sunscreen and stuff.
Then we get her here in this lovely garage, and we go warm up.
It starts.
And then
4 hours of drumming.
So when you hear the drum line play during the season or warming up for a football game, you might hear them play the same little piece of music over and over and over again. And that's really them working on their stroke style, getting better about their stroke consistency, sound quality, all of those things that we work on throughout a season. So it's a big part of our summer.
In the early summer, aside from repping exercises and learning music, the drumline spends a good amount of time on learning how to march correctly.
The worst part of summer band is marching technique, and usually you get to do that with the visual ninja Ted Morris.
You first start out with the basics, and you just do forward, backward, side to side, and we do that for probably about an hour and a half, and we start doing squares and stuff where you just walk around in squares and diamonds, and it sucks, hurts your feet a lot.
During marching technique, we have to learn how to roll step, and that usually comes pretty easy. But as soon as you throw a 12 or 30 pound drum on, it gets a lot harder just having the stamina to do that. And it also changes your technique sometimes. So that'll be easy for them to pick out, and it'll be a lot better when you fix it.
Physically, it's tiring, and mentally.
It's a mental battle.
You have to stay in the game 8 hours a day.
Elongate focus.
As
well said.
Dave Schmuck would always say.
There's a lot of physical demand put on these students. You have to imagine what it's like to wear 50 pounds worth of an instrument strapped to your shoulder and actually physically almost running around a field for, 3-4 hours at any given time. So these students are doing a lot of work, a lot of leg work to make sure that this is happening. So it takes a lot of physical conditioning. So most times when you see these guys, by the end of the summer, they're in usually pretty good shape.
After the marching technique is good to go, the line finishes learning and memorizing what they have of the music, and begin to piece together the playing and the marching. They do this by learning a number of specific coordinates on the football field called charts, also known as drill. This drill is what creates the formations seen on the field. The charts are handed out in packets, and every band, drumline, and color guard member have an individual dot on each page. The charts include information on the number of counts that it must take to reach a new dot from the last one, marking a very precise location on the field. Everyone must write all of their dots into their chart books for use at practices, because a single show may contain over 100 different dots for each member to memorize.
Spend a lot of time learning drill, so that drill is the coordinates at which we have to learn to march around the field. So we spend a lot of time doing that, and then obviously we've got to get it all linked together, and that's what kind of creates a marching band package.
You can't really see the whole picture until you see a video of everybody hitting their correct spots. And I don't know, it just takes a lot of precision, a lot of work, especially when you're carrying like a 40-pound drum.
The instructors do a really good job on coordinating learning music while we're marching, because at first it might be really hard for a freshman or a sophomore for the first time making the line to go in there and be able to march while they're playing, because it's a new concept.
You have to memorize where you go.
exactly where you go or else it ruins everything.
When we get new music, we always go, we get our drums, we go off and we practice it, standing right by our drums with some stands. It's not too hard. We just, all we're doing is focusing precisely on our technique and our drumming. So, learning it and getting it clean with each other while we're standing still is a lot easier than it is when we have to play and march at the same time.
Not only do you have to think about all the things that you were in the theater when you're standing still, but you also have to think about where you're going, marching technique, and you also have to keep a straight face and look forward the whole time. It's a hard thing to do.
For the drum line, they usually do all of these things on their own, separate from the band. They like to perfect their own work before putting it together with everything else.
So when we start out in the summer, we spend a lot of time separate because each section has specific things they need to be working on.
When the band splits up into sectionals, the percussion is its own section, so we end up doing that as a section.
With an 8-hour chunk, 1 to 9, I'd say we spend 7 hours by ourselves.
We're learning the show and learning our charts by ourselves, which is faster with just the drum line because there's less people.
We usually just go out on our own and just do all the exercises and team build.
During all of these rehearsals that we do during the summer, during the season, we like to split up into smaller sections, which we call sectionals. The reason that we work on things this way is that one section might be playing everything the same way, or the same technique, or the same type of instrument, and they've got different issues to deal with than, say, the other group. So for instance, I might take the snare line and go somewhere else and rehearse them, while Brett Kuhn, or Wei on Pan, or Matt Janis might take the other sections, the tenors, basses, the front ensemble, and work on specific things that apply to them as far as the music or technique or whatever that needs to be worked on.
But when the battery and the pit then join the winds on the field, it helps the wind players and it helps the band get a better overall feeling of how the piece sounds. It puts us in a little bit more realistic listening environment because that's what we're actually going to be able to hear when we're performing. It will be just the winds and the percussion section and the battery. And the battery is so important to that tempo control. So that's probably the biggest thing that changes.
Until like fall actually starts, we're pretty much by ourselves the whole time.
Once we get to the fall, when we start our competition season, when we actually start having contests, we spend a lot more time together. In the summer, as we talked about, we spend a lot of time split apart where we're first learning our parts, first getting the notes underneath our fingers and in our hands and everything.
So it's no secret that the Knightline works very hard for many hours and many days during the summer. They get all of their work done, but they also still manage to find some spare time and have some fun.
It sounds like a lot of work, but then again, like it's not all work, I guess. Not the whole summer is just wasted, because then you learn to like enjoy the people you're with on the line, and like it's kind of just like 15 guys just like hanging out all summer.
It's also a lot of fun because you're with the boys just the whole time.
You're spending all that time with the people that you're friends with, and you're doing what you love because that's why you started drumming, because you love to do it.
And we take breaks and stuff. I don't know, play some football, whatever.
We just sprawl out under shade to relax.
Once we got everything done that we had to get done for a certain time, we could take a break and go get some water, or sometimes we'd play football, take a good half hour and just have a lot of fun with that.
When we don't have instructors, it's a little bit less of work and a little bit more of fun, I'll tell you that much.
That's pretty much our day until dinner, and we take an hour break, we go eat, relax, try and sit in some air conditioning or shade.
Usually we had an hour, the normal hour for dinner, but on special days we'd get a little extra time and we'd go to someone's house, or we'd go out to some restaurant and just chill out and get some good food there.
One of those traditions was Jimmy John's and the Johnsons, which happens to be my house, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had Jimmy John's, we had Dairy Queen, and it paid off because we had like an hour and a half for dinner instead of the regular hour.
And we do work a lot and get a lot done over the summer, but we also do take a lot of breaks and do a lot of fun stuff that just makes everything worth it.